I'm on Discord all alone. Said I'm on Discord all alone. When are these motherfuckers gonna pick up the phone? When are these motherfuckers gonna pick up the phone? Cause I've been waiting on them to come on home. Cause I've been waiting on them to come on home. Yeah, I'm on Discord all alone. I'm on Discord all alone.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of You've Been Served with yours truly, Batman. And then we got up top, we got big man
Robert.
Robbie. You gotta say your name, man. Gosh, fuck.
I thought you were introducing me. That's my bad.
I was leading you into the introduction for you to introduce yourself. Fuck, man.
My name is Big Man Robert, apparently. And next to me we have...
Over here to Robert's right and to my left, I have Flannel Boy.
There you go. You got it.
Fucker.
I just said it, Flannel Boy.
Oh, all right.
Chris.
Not the best introduction over here.
I mean, you went straight for it. You did it. It's done. Let's get in.
It is what it is.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's kind of like how Chris attacks sex in general, actually.
Whoa.
But
I think Chris attacks sex so often is that he's got to have some bad stories in his arsenal. He always tells some good, interesting stories, but he never tells any bad ones.
I told you guys about the nipple one, the sweaty nipple.
Yeah, one time.
Okay.
He told us one story, and that was like, oh, by the way, that was like, if by chance.
All right, fine. So there's this thing that I've been playing around with, I guess, with women. Like, my brothers have told me that the hottest women are usually the ones that suck, and I've heard this theory everywhere. And by suck, I mean they don't do anything. Like, they just lay there like a fucking starfish. So this chick is super fucking hot. Like, amazing. Nice ass, nice tits, beautiful. Starfish, man. Fucking hated it. It's probably the worst time of my life. It's not my worst sex story, but I just wanted to put that out there. And I want to hear your sex stories, like your worst ones, before I give you my better one, I hope. I'm going to think of one that actually really sucks.
I think, that's interesting, because that wasn't where we were trying to go. But I do think it's kind of true that people who are really attractive, because they don't have to work as hard, are not as good. They're used to just getting it regardless, so they don't need to work.
Yeah. And they do little to no movements and have the other person do all the work.
Yeah, dude. Like, okay. By the end of it, you're like fucking drenched in sweat while they're just like, okay. Like, what the Bro, I feel like I just ran a fucking marathon.
Get that cardio up, Chris.
Well,
I mean, I'm trying.
So I just want to point out real quick. Yes, that is a bad scenario for you, Chris. Although I just want to make sure we know the differences in the storytelling of when Chris has a really good story, all details. Not a single thing is left out. And
true.
It's a very interesting story. Bad story gives us 2 sentences and that's it. He's done. On to the next person.
That is so asshole. Fucking accurate.
You're a jerk. God. And you know what you did.
True. That's true.
Robert.
Look, I'll think of a better one. I'll think of a full detail now.
Robert,
my story isn't that great, but I don't think I've told it to you guys. When I was 16, I had probably my second girlfriend, and Breaking Dawn was just coming out, right? The Twilight film. Yeah. And she invited me to go on a date. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. We're going to get to go to a movie. We'll get to make out because I can't make out at home. I can't make out at school, right? So a movie's perfect, right? We go and we start the movie, and just when I get invested, she attacks me. right? Which is fine. Like, that's exciting. I was a young kid. Never happened to me before. Great. You know?
Mm-hmm.
But it starts to get really aggressive. And I'm a little concerned. But I look in the mirror. Everything's fine. I go home, fall asleep, wake up the next day, get in the shower, hop out, and my entire fucking face is purple. I've got hickey all over my lips, all around my neck, right? And I'm like, okay, well, I hated turtlenecks, but I'm like, let me wear like a collared shirt or something, see if I can at least cover up this, because the lips being purple, lips being purple, I can't really do anything about, but I can kind of deal with that, right? And so I'm going out to the car, because I have to go to school, and my mom looks over and she's like, what happened to your neck? And I was like, nothing. I don't. What are you talking about? Nothing.
Got into a fight, Mom.
Yeah, like what? They punched me in the neck. Fuck, leave me alone. But no, so I'm like, nothing, right? And I button up that like top button, and she just goes and then looks away and just stares straight at the road. The entire fucking drive is just quiet. It was the other thing was, and I'm not trying to shit talk anybody, but that experience was painful. Like, you know how hard you have to be like sucking on somebody's lips to break the capillaries and make them purple? Like, that's not.
Sure, you didn't feel any teeth on that? Shit.
What was that, Chris?
You didn't feel any teeth? You didn't feel any teeth, man? That shit sounds like a fucking vampire. I mean, you were watching.
I wouldn't even be shocked at this point. But no, that was my story. It's probably not quite as graphic as maybe Chris's, and I don't know about yours. But it was definitely my worst experience.
It definitely was a lot more details than what Chris just gave us, so I'll give you that.
Fine. I'll go next.
No, you get your turn.
No. Sorry, George. I'm going to save you for the end. So, as you were describing that story, I just thought of the actual worst experience I've ever had. And it has to do with this chick I met. So, I guess this was going to be the last time I was going to actually, have sex with her. She was cool before, but then this time, for some reason, she decided to go all out. She got a room. She got drinks. Everything was cool. I picked her up. We get to the place, and she first, drinking a few drinks, cool, whatever. That was cool, but, we're messing around. But this girl is just sloppy to the point where I almost got thrown up on. Like she's on top, and it gets to the point where I guess the rocking just didn't sit well with her stomach and everything else that she had taken. I just hear her go, I'm like, oh no. I pushed her off. I'm like, nope. Fuck that. Now all over the bed. And then she said that her friends were going to come over later that night too. So I'm like, yeah, I'm out. Fuck this. If y'all are all like this, I'm not down.
That's not your thing, Chris?
No, I'm not trying to get fucking vomited on like The Exorcist and Scary Movie 2.
Hey, he's just asking, man. He doesn't know what you like. He does,
Nah, man.
I'm not shaming you. You can like whatever you want, just like George can.
I can't fuck with that, man. It's like, and then the way she was writing, it just looked weird, man. It just looked really fucking weird.
Okay, that's a pretty bad experience. There you go. See, because that's so hard. You guys some good details.
I mean,
and some disgusting, but I guess
I tried. You wanted details, man.
I did. You're right. I did.
This is all George's fault.
Fuck George.
All right. So, I have some obviously bad ones. Some bad ones. Okay. So I got one. It was when I was going to college in Sacramento. I had already joined my fraternity at this time, and the group of the family member line that I was part of, let's just say, drinks quite a bit. So it's where I started my drinking age, or my drinking habits, reinforcing my what would you call it? My stamina, I guess you can say.
So it wasn't just because you were Mexican?
It definitely helped. It helped that I was Mexican. It was definitely helpful. Because when I first got there, I kept drinking. I kept trying to hang with all the other fraternity brothers, and everybody else that was there for years and years, and I couldn't hang. So it took me a little while.
Yeah.
Well, one of these days we go to we have a house party, and we're all there and we're having a good time. And what's it called? Forget one of my old brothers. He's telling me, hey, come over, man, have some drinks. Like, we got some shots on this side, we got weed on that side. Like, this is gonna be a great night. It's gonna be a great night. And out of nowhere, at one point, there's this girl that pulls me out of the crowd. I don't really know her. I guess she's a friend of a friend, and she just is with me the rest of the night. She's with me the rest of the night. She's asking me, take drinks with her and this and that. And as the night goes on, it seems like it's going in that direction. It's gonna be a good night. And so yeah, everything goes fine. And well, as the party's ending, we're trying to figure out where to go back to. Go back to my dorms or go back to her dorms. Turns out she wants to go back to her dorms. I was like, okay, that's fine, no worries. So we're going back. We get there. We're in her dorm. Her dorm's only like on the other side of the campus of where mine is. And we're getting in the room. We're going, and it's like as soon as we get into the room, as soon as we turn off the lights, we start getting ready. Knockout. She passes out, like dead cold, just out. And I'm like, all right, power nap, take a power nap. All right, we're good. Don't worry about it. So I didn't work. I didn't take all those shots for nothing. It's like power nap. We're good. And so we're right there. After a while, I just waiting, kind of poke her. Like, hey, you waking up? Hello? Not waking up. I was like, all right, this ain't good. It's like, I better get out of here before anything gets, before it just looks bad. So, just as I said that, it gets bad. As I'm about to, I'm about to get my pants up, about to put my shoes on and everything. I'm getting dressed again, and then her roommate comes home. Her roommate doesn't party. Her roommate isn't part of the, the groups that go and, party with the fraternities or sororities or whatever. Yeah. And she gets home, and she just sees her roommate on the ground, passed out, and me barely put my pants back up. And I'm like, this does not look good in any way, shape, or form. No. And I just start feeling like, it's not what you think. She just takes a good, she looks at me, she's like, you know what? Don't worry. I know you. I know who you are. You're good. Just get the fuck out. It's like, okay, thank you. So I go back on. Okay, thank you. Luckily enough, she knew me. I didn't know how. I guess, I don't know. She knew me, a friend of a friend. I don't know. But she knew me, and she was like, I know that's not you. I know that's not you. Just go. I was like, okay. The next day, I get a text message from that girl. She's like, hey, where'd you go? The fuck do you mean, where'd I go? Hey, what happened to you? So, yeah, it was a bad one. Bad situation.
Too, man.
It is what it is.
Just stay to sleep too.
Yeah, probably should have.
Hey, but here's the good. You didn't make any babies, and at that point you have to have gotten rid of it.
What?
I'm trying to set up your segment.
I feel like that's exactly what you were doing here. I don't know whether to be upset at what you said or the fact that you tried to take my job. I tried to,
but
maybe I will say with both. All right. So since Chris decided to bring it on up, Chris, lead us into this next segment. What is this next topic that we're about to hit, and how does that tie into what you said?
My favorite topic, man, abortion. Go back a few episodes. What I told you.
Favorite topic.
Why is it a favorite topic?
My favorite topic because every woman has a choice. Her body, her choice. I usually recommend, the former, which is abortion. The latter is to keep it is something that's not always recommended by me because I believe in Roe v. Wade and I think it should stand. But yeah, man. So abortion. How do you guys feel about it?
Really?
it's definitely not a favorite topic of mine. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I have not had to deal with that situation before. I feel it is a tricky thing to talk about. I do believe that a girl has every right to decide whether she should keep it or not. I don't know. I mean, at least in my case, if I were to be in that situation and, me and the girl that I'm with are in agreement that, like we're not ready,
Mm-hmm.
I at least would like to know if she goes to, have it done. I can't stop her whether she wants to or not. Like, and I wouldn't try. It's her decision. I just would like to know. It's like just a heads up, like, all right, I get it. Do what you got to do. I won't stop you. I just want to know beforehand. That's it. What about you, Robert?
Well, let me start by saying the whole reason that we wanted to bring this up, right, is because there was a Supreme Court case that reaffirmed Roe v. Wade to some extent, which is great, especially given the justices that we have there right now.
Yeah.
I've always supported that. I think it's a positive thing. I think you can really negatively impact children by bringing them into a world where their family is not ready to support them, right? Or by bringing them into a world where the family doesn't want them, And I think adoption is good too, and it's not by no means the only option, abortion, but I think it's a really positive thing that we are allowing people to choose what they want to do with their bodies. But yeah, those are my thoughts.
Chris, do you have other thoughts?
I agree with everything
tons of thoughts.
I got a lot of thoughts on it. My perspective on abortion is for it. I've always been for it. It's like, I mean, why wouldn't you be able to get rid rid was the proper word. Rid of something that you ultimately say you were in a situation where you can't afford it. If you can't afford it, you can't have it. It's not worth it. If you got raped, it's not worth having literally a memory of the person who raped you because the fucking kid is there. I mean, I get adoption is an option, but, it doesn't solve everything because at the end of the day, you gave up the kid, and I'm pretty sure after you had the kid, you got attached to the kid, because a lot of hormones are being released at birth, and you gave it up, but you're going to miss this kid, and you're going to have that feeling like a piece of you is missing, but yet that piece of you was something that came out of something so negative. So, that situation sucks. And then my other thing for abortion is like, since technology itself has advanced so much to the point where you could detect if the kid is going to have any birth defects or like any diseases or anything that's going to compromise that child's life at birth, why not make it easier and not actually have the kid? Why not just get rid of it before it's too far, before you bring it into this world to suffer, I guess.
Well, that's a pretty controversial statement, that last one. That's
it's extremely.
I just think that can come across, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that can come across like you're saying, well, it's not worth these people living, if they have mental disabilities or if they have birth defects, No,
I get that, but the point that I'm trying to stress is if, like, say you bring the kid in the world and it's going to die within a month, 3 months, or even maybe a year, sure, some doctors and some cases have proven otherwise, but, if you really can't afford this kid or you're just not willing to commit to take care of somebody who's in a situation where, they're handicapped for the rest of their lives, that kid's not for you. You shouldn't have that. Bring it into this world to suffer if that's not something you're willing to commit to.
Yeah.
So, I get that it's controversial, it's but it's ultimately an issue that a lot of people are faced with, and a lot of kids end up suffering and getting killed or just die because of it, because they didn't have a choice to come into this world, and nobody ever does. They just come in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But as for, abortion, I'm all for it. It's always number one in my suggestion, even though I joke around with it sometimes. It's like a joke, even though I do have a talk with people. I will have a talk with a person if I ever get in that situation and be like, look, these are the options. We can discuss every single one of them in detail. You give me your reasons, I give you my reasons. We'll compromise and see what we eventually come down to.
You're going to lawyer it up.
Yeah, if it benefits us or not. Like, is it smart, I guess? Pro-lifers have their reason for not supporting abortion, and I get it. But at the same time, old white men in the South, it's not your body. Or anywhere in general, it's not your body.
Yeah.
Let the female.
I mean, in fairness, there are definitely women that are pro-life.
Yeah.
So I understand why people might feel that way, even if I don't agree.
Yeah. Oh, and another thing is the heartbeat law. The moment the fucking child has a heartbeat, the fetus, let me rephrase that, the fetus has a heartbeat, you can no longer get an abortion. Like, no, that's kind of stupid. At that point, it's still just slime. It's an embryo, but it's still like just cells building up to something. It's not exactly there. I don't know, I've got a lot of issues, and there's a lot of things out there that could probably fucking come back and bite me in the ass if I talk about them now, but I'll just stay quiet on those for now. Yeah.
I feel like just what you said right now, you might get some backlash, but I feel like it's not even half of what you could say. I feel like you're holding back, and that's not a bad thing. I'm not blaming you.
Yeah, I'm holding back. And I mean, I gave an explanation for the first one. To me, it's reasonable. To others, it might not be. I get it. Yeah. But, yeah.
Knowing.
I feel like... No, go ahead. Go.
Essentially, my bottom line point is, if you can't afford the kid, you don't want the kid, you're not ready for a kid, and, it's a bad memory of something that happened to you, traumatic moment, don't have the kid. Mm-hmm. Exercise your right.
Yeah.
That's how.
Robert, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, knowing this podcast, he'll probably get no backlash and we'll get messages. Like, hey, can you believe you said that about abortion? Bitch, that wasn't me, that was Chris. That's what's going to fucking happen. I can tell already.
I just want to let you know that I don't believe in that. I was like, hey, I didn't say it. You saw me in the video. I didn't say it. The guy with the beard said it, not me. I can't even grow one.
They're going to say, but you were in the conversation, George, and you didn't stand up for it. Your silence is allowing it. Your silence is acceptance.
I was waiting for him to finish the sentence.
Yeah, but you could have interrupted, George. No, I'm fucking with you.
Well, so, I mean, I agree with all of your guys' points. I feel like there are some things that can be, that we can dive a little more into. And I don't know if we're 100% on the same topics, but I think for the most part, we're in agreement that at the end of the day, it's the girl's choice. At the end of the day, it's the girl's choice. She has the right to decide whether she wants to or not. I do feel there are certain situations that, I don't know, I think it's weird. Like going for everyone who's, the people who go pro-life and everything, it's a child, it's a human being from the very beginning, and they're brought into this world. But then a lot of those kids end up going into foster care. Yep. A lot of those kids go into foster care. And the thing that bugs me is like, okay, you cared when they were going to decide to do the abortion because the parents agreed, or the mother agreed that she could not take care of the child. So then because of that, they go into foster care, either left there or put there, I don't know, whatever the case may be. And then guess what? Those people don't give a shit once those kids are in foster care. They get neglected. They get left behind. It's like, oh, what happened? You were complaining to the mom just a few years ago, but now that the kids are born and they're alive, they're older. You're like, oh no, well, you cared so much then, how come you don't care now? That's where I see it's a little hypocritical. It's like they try to say from the beginning. I don't know. It does suck. It sucks to see those cases where there's a lot of kids that get neglected in foster care, and because of a lot of times your upbringing, you don't learn. You don't see the yeses and the nos, and you don't learn right from wrong or the lessons. We just see a lot more of the same. It's like how are you supposed to learn? So it sucks.
That part does. Yeah.
How the United States works is hypocritical, apparently.
I'm not a fan of.
That's gonna be sad.
But I do feel we can. Wait, hold on. Sorry, going back. We have hit the topic before with Chris, or we've hit that topic that Chris brought up about being able to see if your kid's gonna have a deformation or an illness. Correct? We had talked about that before on the podcast.
Yeah,
I think we.
And then we also talked about choosing like your child's race or eye color, things like that.
Yeah, we have read it.
That is extremely controversial, but imagine how cool that would be. It's like you're building your own doll.
Oh boy!
Why would you say that? Why would you say that, Chris? It's like you're asking to cause problems.
To fuck around. Somebody's got to say it. I know you guys weren't.
Nobody had to say that. That was not a necessity. What?
Okay.
You gotta fuck around with it and make it funny. I'm just saying it's like a Build-A-Bear.
All right. Now that I see where Chris is at, I'm a little scared to move on to this next topic because I feel like we got to keep it flowing. But we're going to do it. We're here. This is what we do. We call the topics and we hit them. All right. So as you guys know, as we've been talking before, a lot of racism has been going on in the world right now. It sucks to see that it's still going on, to see that it's still a thing. It sucks a little more to see that people pretend like they are not racist. In reality, it's like, dude, like, your actions speak louder than your. Obviously, you're racist. Just stop. Mm-hmm. But it is what it is. It's a lot of times people can't see what's really going on, even if they're the ones doing it. But I don't know. What do you guys think? What is obviously we're not going to come up with solve all solutions, but what do you think is a way we could possibly stop racism? Obviously, we're not geniuses, and obviously, what our words are not golden. But I want to see. What's an idea? I want to see your guys' opinions or your guys' thoughts.
Well, something I've always suggested and should have passed a long ass time ago was the ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment. Had we just had that legislation go into play, we probably would have been okay. Yeah, we would have had a lot of legal battles for, to see if it was constitutional or if a law was constitutional at all, But I definitely think that with the Equal Rights Amendment, at some point we could have potentially, had something that would guide us in the right direction to end racism. Mm-hmm. And then we come into the issue of, classifying people in races, and that I think makes it worse. Mm-hmm. First off, Robert and I were having a discussion regarding Hispanics and what race they fall under. Yeah. Federally, we're not a race. Hispanic is not a race. Latino is not a race. I personally still am confused. I was at work. I saw Hispanic listed under race. So I'm thinking, like, California recognizes Hispanic as race, but federal government doesn't. Yeah. So I don't get it. And then, going back to classifying people with races, I don't think it works at that point. You're just starting to identify people for all the color of their skin. Mm-hmm. Like black people. I mean, I'm not sure if it's proper to call them black, yeah, but to call them black, I think, is like giving them their own little separate category and like a box of crayons, like white people too. They're the white crayon. I mean, shit. Our race would be what, brown instead of Hispanic, if we were a crayon. Yeah. I'm not a fan of it. I think these systems should just go down and like burn the classifications down and just go into, as you mentioned, one human race. But then again, I'm not sure if it's a protest to the protests that are going on now. Yeah. You know, everything right now is like we're walking on thin ice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's my take on it for now.
Robert, what do you think?
I mean, I agree in theory. Like, I agree that there should not be that we are just a human race, and that should be all of our perspectives. And so let me like separate into two things, because at first I want to talk about like what the solution would be, and I don't really think that there is one. And you said, you know, we probably won't come up with one. I think all we have to do is wait. We have to wait for racist people to die out and hope that, you know, eventually all that will be left are people that aren't, or at least people that are much less, right? Yeah. The other thing, the whole idea that Chris talked about with this separation based on race and this classification. Like I said, in theory, I agree. Yes, there should only be the human race, but I also think that we have to have that classification right now. You know, we can't have Black Lives Matter movement if we don't recognize that Black lives are a separate thing from white lives, right? I think if right now, we already live in a world that's divided along those lines, and so we have to recognize them so that we can recognize injustices that are brought upon those people, right? So, I don't think that we should be racist about it. I'm not saying we should go around and say, oh, you like watermelon because you're this color, and, you know, you hop the fence because you're this color. I don't believe that. I do believe that the classification right now, hopefully eventually it won't be, but right now is important. Because if there's even the classification of white, like being able to recognize that, okay, most white people, well, all white people have some amount of privilege, right, over people that don't. And we wouldn't be able to make that distinction, we wouldn't be able to make that clarification without that classification, right? So to me, I think it's unfortunate, but it's necessary right now. And like I said, I hope in the years to come it won't be, but unfortunately it is. That's my feeling on it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I do think that it's going to be, I think it's going to be more similar to what you're saying as far as something we have to wait out, which kind of sucks, because I feel like it's been a long time since, you know, racism should have gone out by now. But I get it. I get why it's not. I can see why. You know, it is what it is. There's a lot of people in their old ways of thinking, and there's no change in that, you know. There's no change in that for no matter how hard you try. And they have every right to think the way they want to. And I'm not saying it's okay, and I'm not praising them for it, but they are their own human beings, and they're allowed to make these decisions if they want to. I do think race, as just a general whole, I do think is stupid. I don't know. I always go back to the same thing of just the human race through and through. I feel like Chris has something to. What, Chris?
I'm saying we're gonna get controversy backlash for that shit now.
Probably, but you know, it's just like I've seen it. You know, again, I grew up in an area. I grew up in an area where I was either too Mexican or too gringo to be, you know, either one. You know, I go over the border and I speak too much English, so I'm a gringo. And I stay over here on the other side of the border. Yeah, I'm too brown. So, you know, I got both sides of it. But then I didn't. I took it very negatively. I took it very personally when I was younger. You know, instead I was like, you know what? I want to be Brazilian from Argentina. I want to be from England. I want to be any other race than what I am now. And then I realized that's not really, that's not a solution. Not a solution, at least for me. That's not a solution. That's just it's a misunderstanding of what's really going on. So I took it down to the basics of who we are as a whole, and that's the human race. So I started learning more about that. Started studying more about that. Studying more about people and their cultures and their languages, and what really thrives them, what gives them their pride. Because there's a huge amount of people out there who are very proud to be from their culture, from their race, from their nation, and I'm all for it. I have nothing against them. I think it's amazing. But I do think there's that factor that we forget that if you look down at all these different cultures and all these different races, even some of the languages, they're very similar in a lot of different ways. So it's like, why can't we find the similarity in where we've been brought up and what we've been taught and what we know, and create something more out of it? Create something more out of the similarities in our different cultures, instead of saying, you're Mexican, you're going to stay Mexican. You're white, you're going to stay white. Well, yeah, obviously because of our skin tone, but let's go deeper than that. Take it one step further than that. But I know that's just me thinking from a child's point of view, because that's how I still love to see the world, because it was definitely better then, for me at least. And I know that's not a solution that's going to happen anytime soon. So I am hoping, I'm banking on what Robert said, that we can wait it out, and hopefully that day comes, and maybe we don't see it, but maybe our kids do see it. I don't know.
See, when it comes to keeping the classification system, I guess, to make it work for us to identify, stop being racist, and for the future to stop being racist, we, as people have said, we have to start teaching those who are going to lead the future what is right and what is wrong. To us, back then in the past, something that was right was to own people, because you had a status, you were wealthy, and it got you places. Yeah. Obviously, in modern times, it's different, it's wrong, and we know that. So why is it still a thing to want to criticize and discriminate and segregate others? It's because those old teachings haven't died out. There are still individuals out there who literally preach what their ancestors practiced and will stand by it and die by it. I get it. It's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, but at the same time, we can start a new generation that looks to accept everyone and not just people of their own kind. Yeah. But mix and mingle, interracial, all that. Homosexuality, make it something simple. Don't discriminate against them either. That's my biggest issue with religion, on how it discriminates against homosexual people and women. But I think if we don't sit down and have these conversations with any kids that are growing up, these kids are never going to learn. And people are always asking when is it the right time to have these conversations with them? And something I took away from one of my professors in college, she said, anytime is the right time. Explaining it in terms or doing it in ways that they'll grasp and cling on to is really the challenging part. You can explain it to them at the age of 3, 4, 5, maybe even younger, but they might not remember, but eventually it will still stick to them and it'll be ingrained in them, and it'll allow them to flourish and hopefully create something better. Yeah. But that's just me and wishful thinking. I don't see a lot of people doing it, especially because there's a shitload of people in this country that think 5 is too young to bring it up to a kid because they won't understand it. I don't think so. I think kids are much smarter than that. If they can use an iPad at 3 or 2, honestly,
same thing. And I know you guys would love this, but if they can start learning about the Bible and about Jesus in church at the age of 3, 4, 5, why can't I learn about the other stuff?
Exactly.
That's another topic that I know you guys would love to get into, but I don't think we have that kind of time.
Yeah.
But it's the same concept. It's the same concept, I see there's flaws in it still, but yeah.
George.
I don't know if I can't sing like Ty can. All right.
You can't sing, but that's okay. You look like Eric Estrada anyway.
Eric Estrada. All right. Well, guys, it is close to that time. Everyone listening, everyone watching, we thank you again. We appreciate it. We find you, as you know, we hit our 1 year mark. Hoping to go for more. We'll see what happens in the future. Definitely have some ideas coming for the podcast. We'll let you guys know about that sometime down the road. But as for now, I'm Batman. And this is
Robert the Geus.
And Flannel Boy. Did we get it?
We're a superhero group ever.
Yes, accurate.
All right, guys.
110.
Well, guys, good talking to you. Love you guys. Stay safe. Stay
Love
classy. And Chris, that blue in the back seems a little faded already.
Nah, it's just a light. It's just a light, man. It's just a light. I changed the bulbs. It's still shiny as fuck, man. Let me get you closer.
Robert, cut it out.
Check this out.